Good job. You nice man. That's fine.
You didn't hear my hot chocolate song.
All right, go ahead again.
I was playing. I'd never be able to get it back up in
Oh, I'm sorry.
the right place. I was playing a hot chocolate song for you.
Okay.
Got me an endorsement for you for hot chocolate somewhere.
I know what kind it is, but it is good. Today was a good day. Good practice. Have we got any questions?
It's earlier. Was it shorter? Seems like it.
No. What we do on, what today's, Wednesday? Wednesday we start at 2 o'clock, all of our meetings. And Tuesdays and Thursdays we start at 2:35 because of class schedules. So Wednesday should be about 30 minutes short, earlier than a Tuesday practice because of that.
You've had several senior classes come through in your tenure. Have you had one that's gone through as much adversity as this group of guys have over the last 4 years, 5 years?
Oh, I don't know. They all go through adversity of some kind. What helps them grow up, Everything's going your way. It's hard to grow as a person, as a player. I think they all have their own personal adversity, whether it's an injury or whether it's trying to crack the lineup or getting a red shirt as a freshman. And, all those kind of things happen that seem, big to each guy individually. As a group, it's hard to say. I think.
I guess building off of that, do you take comfort in knowing that these young guys have been through this adversity earlier in their career with this season and be able to learn from it?
Well, I don't understand all the adversity. What was all the adversity?
Just ups and
What's
downs,
all the adversity?
big wins,
Yeah.
losses like Auburn, Clemson.
Well, wins aren't adversity. Wins are good. I mean, I don't understand the adversity question.
I guess just like all the ups and downs of the season, you
Yeah,
have
well,
big
I don't
wins
know
and
if that's adversity. But anyway, I mean, maybe injuries and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, we've had some tough losses, obviously, and every game's been pretty exciting. Actually, I mean, I would imagine not many people turn the TV off watching our games, and not many fans left early of any of our games this year. Probably didn't help the traffic pattern at the end of the games. That's adversity. You just learn. You learn as you go, whether you're winning or losing. But I mean, all the youth that we have, all the guys that are doing a lot of things for the first time, they'll be a lot better off a year from now.
There are a lot of guys that are walking, if that's, I guess, the right term, on Saturday.
Graduating?
Or guys that are being honored, senior guys
yes.
but guys that didn't come here on scholarship, like Connor and Blake and Rhett and Brandon Hart, and these are guys that have, I mean,
all 4 of those guys did earn a scholarship while they're here.
And there's more also, I think, in that group, and just ones I remembered. Is that a little bit, I don't know if what's the right term, but
There are a lot of walk-ons, guys that came here as walk-ons and stayed the whole time. I got a lot of respect for those guys. I say it all the time, but it's so true. I mean, these guys, they do because they love football. They love Georgia. They're probably the easiest guys I ever get jobs for because, employers are looking for guys that are, unselfish, guys that work hard, guys that put team ahead of themselves. There's so many attributes that these guys have. Most of them do very well in school because they have to stay to keep their hope or whatever it is. So they're neat guys, and some of them, get to the point where they get to play, and then even beyond that, they get a scholarship. And some guys deserve a scholarship. I just don't have one to give it to them. Some years we've had a couple years we've had maybe more to give than normal, but those guys earned it. And I think there's more that didn't get it that earned it. But yeah, there's going to be I guess, is it 24?
28.
22 players, is it, but 28, does that count though? I think 28 counts our, some of our student coaches and managers and trainers maybe, or is it 20?
I think it's 20 players.
It's just football players.
Plus,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't realize that many.
Well,
That's
I would think
much.
the retention rate for a kid to come in as a freshman as a walk-on and stay the whole time would be really low. I mean, I don't know what percentage would be, but there's something special about I would
It
think
is.
that.
It is, and I'll say this, we try to pride ourselves in treating everybody great, you know, treating everybody with respect and dignity, and I always tell them, you know, even in recruiting, that we value all of our players the same, you know, we make a distinction in playing time and through travels and all that kind of thing, because we have to do that, it's part of our job to try to decide who we think gives us the best chance to win in any given game, but, you know, every guy we have here, we think, you know, adds a lot of value to our team with what they do for us. We do value them all as people and teammates, and our scholarship guys. And I've said this before too, because I'll have exit meetings with guys, and almost to a man, the walk-ons will say, when I first got here, I didn't know how I'd be treated. I didn't know how I'd be treated, especially by scholarship guys. But our scholarship guys treat them good. They're good friends with them. They respect the job they do. And I think it makes them feel, you know, makes them feel part of the team and feel like they're not just, you know, a block and dummy, a human block and dummy or something like that.
Mark, how do you evaluate how a defense is playing? I know you could look at yards given up or points scored, but you know, when you make comparisons to, say, 10 years ago, there's more offensive plays being run and stuff like that, and total plays, I guess. Is that kind of an unfair comparison?
Well, I think that, just like you mentioned, somebody asked me on the maybe it was the teleconference about that type of question, but when everybody's, I don't know about so much spreading out's part of it, offensively, team spreading, but everybody going with pace. You know, I was saying when you huddle, you break the huddle, you come to the line, you settle in there, and then you run the play. And you probably use 10, 15 seconds per play, extra clock. Now that everybody's going with tempo, instead of 55, 60 plays a game, people are averaging 70, 75, 80 plays a game. So everybody's getting more yards, everybody's getting more points, everybody's getting. And I guess the question was asking, you know, is when you get a red zone, when you force a field goal, is that considered a victory? And in a lot of ways it is. I was mentioning really the victory in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter in Auburn, when we're down 17, it's the fourth quarter, they're driving in our territory, they're trying to put the game away, and we end up forcing a field goal. Now we're within 20, we got hope still. We come back and we take the lead before it was over, you know, so, but yeah, it's hard, if you just go strictly by what's been done historically, the numbers are just, they're obviously gonna be up, and so you can't really go strictly by stats. And the other thing too is, I mean, I don't wanna get too much into this, but when you look at stats, I mean, you'll have some teams that'll play, you know, maybe 4 out of conference teams that they really outman.
Right.
And you can get some pretty good stats for 4 games there. And then, you know, because not everybody goes, well, this is what happened in the SEC, and this is what happened in the other games. It's just all rolled into one, you know. So sometimes you'll have some teams that might have some phenomenal stats in those games, and it might be some special teams. You might get 3 touchdowns, 3 kick returns for touchdowns against some teams that you're outmanning, you know. But when you look at the stats, you're like, wow, look at that. And, you know, they're the leading whatever. So you can't get too crazy on the statistics. What I gotta see is, do I think we are improving? Do I think we're teaching the right things? Do I think the guys are playing hard? Do I think they're believing? There's a lot of that has to be factored in on, you know, offense, defense, and special teams. If I think the plan that we have has no chance of success if we do it right, then we got problems. But I don't think we have any of those things.
Coach, you must develop a fatherly relationship with some of your boys. What types of lessons do you try to get through to them in the few years that you do have them, and do you think you've done it this year?
The types of lessons, first thing you gotta do is teach them responsibility. Teach them to be accountable. Teach them to be dependable. Let them know that there's a certain way that things have gotta be done, and hold them accountable to do it. And then we also want them to, obviously, we want to be honest and loyal and all that kind of thing, hardworking. You know, for me to take credit to say, have I done a good job? I think life teaches a lot of lessons in itself. I think if a guy's 18, by the time he's 22, he's going to mature some, regardless of what program he's in. But I think we're very intentional to try to teach those things and prepare them, for life down the road. Once guys understand that the world doesn't revolve around them, that it is about the team and it's about others. It's, if you're a husband, it should be about your wife and your children, not just about you. If you're an employee, it should be about, the business that you work with, try to help everybody succeed around you. Same thing with the team. So I think we are very intentional in teaching those things, and I think these guys are really ready for, I'd say, I have them in the character ed class. As I listen to all of them voice their opinions on certain things, I feel like they're in good shape.
Mark, does Reggie Carter have a chance to be back for this one?
I don't know. Well, he probably could, but he's not getting enough work to really feel comfortable. Just from a rep standpoint. Again, a guy like Reggie, if Reggie was a 3-year starter and was in the same spot he was in, you might say he'd be ready to play Saturday, but because he's a rookie and still learning and he needs reps to be ready in any given week, I don't think he'll play.
Viewing the 2013 seniors as a group, what would you say their legacy is?
I think they're a really unselfish bunch. I think they care about their team. They certainly went through some ups and downs, like you mentioned. I think they handled it with class.
Going back to that fatherly thing that she had mentioned, not many coaches at this level get to guide a 4-year starting quarterback into their senior night, whether it's they start later in their career or talent propels them to the NFL. But this is going to be the second time that you've done that here at Georgia. As a former quarterback yourself, is that something that's pretty special to you to be able to do that twice?
Was Green the other? I'm trying to think if there's any other 4.
Stafford was only 3, I guess.
Stafford was 3.
Cox was here.
5.
Yeah, Cox was
started.
Right, you're talking about like a 4-year
Right.
starter?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so rare, so rare. It's rare for a lot of reasons, like you said, guys go pro, that coach may not have been there the whole time, and there's just a lot of things. I've been really blessed to be at a place like Florida State for 15 years and a place like Georgia for 13 years. And just been able to recruit guys and coach them up and teach them and watch them grow and watch them go on to the next phase, But the thing with Murray, it's the guy who really got to do it was Mike Bobo. He did the majority of the recruiting. He did the majority, he by far did the majority of the teaching, how to play the game, and so it's the QB and the QB coach relationship that I'm well aware of and have experienced over the years. It's pretty special, and but Mike and Aaron certainly have got a tremendous bond, and I feel close to Aaron too. Don't get me wrong. As a head coach and a guy that is counting on some of his leadership and had a lot of discussions about leadership and he's been tremendous in that way. So I feel close to Aaron, but as far as the ability to teach the technical aspect of the game day after day after day and watch him grow in that way, I've observed it, I've watched it, I've admired it, but Mike was the guy doing most of that.